Hello and welcome back to La CoCo3. Today I have something special that I have been working on for quite a while. In fact, well over 20 years. Well, I did take a 20-year break along the way. So if you've never watched my very first video on this channel, I actually do recommend checking that out before watching this one, so you can really appreciate what's been done and where she came from. She's definitely one of a kind and my favorite daily driver CoCo that I absolutely love using. She's had quite an upgrade, so let's check it out. As you can see, I have quite a mess on my workbench here. I wanted to live stream this, but I forgot to bring my HDMI capture device, so I'm gonna have to just record it and edit it later. But basically, I'm going to be rebuilding this CoCo3 today. And what's so special about rebuilding a CoCo3? Well, obviously there's a lot of parts here, and yes, all of this goes back into my CoCo3. This isn't just a CoCo3. This was formerly my CoCo3P, and basically I have decided to rebrand it my CoCo3 Plus because it's more than just portable now. It's gone beyond that, and now it's a CoCo3 with all kinds of accessories that I would have wanted in it back in the day. And it makes it massively more useful just as a self-contained machine. So let me clear a little space here. Well, I finally did it. I've been meaning to do something with this particular CoCo3 for a while, specifically paint it, and as you can see, I have done so. Basically took everything out, did a quick spray job, and it didn't really turn out exactly like I expected. Cap color is black, but yeah. Just see how this looks. I'm a little worried. And yes, I opted to go for a two-tone look. I don't know why, it just seemed like it might be a good thing to do. And if I decide I don't like it, it'll be easy enough to go back and paint this part over. I think I screwed up a little on the keyboard bezel because I didn't protect the bottom properly. I think I got a little overspray. That'll bleed through, that's just great. Thought I pressed it down pretty good, I guess not. Nice and crisp all the rest of the way. But it's okay, that's okay. Yeah, there's the bad side. Hold down here, yeah, I can't even see it. Still not sure, but let's see how this looks. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't hate it. Okay, so I wasn't super thrilled with the slate and tan, so went ahead and did a second round here. Let's see how this looks. This one could be a while because there's a lot of little pieces of tape here. So here it is. This is just the base, obviously, and we can take a look at the bottom. I've actually got some things masked off here. Probably should have done a better job masking the bottom. Doesn't mess with the label. There we go. Yeah. So, first thing you can see, I've got a few countersunk screws in here. These give me mounting points for some of the hardware that goes into this machine. If you didn't watch my initial video on this channel, basically it was a introduction to this machine. I called it the CoCo3 when I made it because it was designed to be portable. I had a built-in floppy drive, and it was converted to run off 12 volts DC, and that was pretty much the extent of it. So when I pulled this back out, the original floppy drive I was using did not work. The belt in it basically had turned to liquid, and I was able to actually replace the belt afterwards, but I had already found this drive to mount inside here. So that sits like so. I need a screw for that. Is this the right one? No. Pretty sure that's the right one. So yeah, it kind of goes right into the label there. You know, it's not ideal, but nothing useful is actually covered up. The serial number is intact. It's okay. CoCo3s are not exactly collector's items. So this is the GoTech. I added this recently. Sits just like so. Alright, so that's the floppy drives installed. Let me get this. It's always a little tricky getting these flat cables plugged back in. Put my science hat on. Need to get this up and out. Tuck that down in there. Get in there. Okay, push in and this. It's like so. So this one actually doesn't screw down right here. It's just going to kind of float there. These two mounts are for a different adapter plate that I had in there. This guy just kind of pushes through here for now. And this is not the actual final form. I'm going to change this connector at some point. There we go, that's fine. Next I'll go ahead and put the power adapter in. So again, when I converted this one to DC, it was before the joy of USB PD power was a thing. So I got this little round kind of S-video plug. This came from an external hard drive, so it should be power sufficient. And I didn't want to just put it like so, sticking out the back like that. It's a little bit long. And I also wanted a little more structural stability than just that, so I made this little intermediate plate that kind of sits in there. Okay, turn this. Sits like so. So, just FYI, the yellow wire is 12 volts. This little plug here also has 5 volts, and I use that as standby power when the machine is turned off. And I actually use that to power my RGB to HDMI, which makes for much quicker syncing. When I turn the color computer on, the RGB to HDMI is already ready to go, so it syncs up immediately, and I'm ready to CoCo. Okay. This power, floppy drives, this guy. So, let me show you this thing here. So, on this card we have the micro SD, and I need to be able to pull that out for screenshots. In particular, I use this for game on a lot, so I hit my screenshot button, and then right here where the SD card pokes through, and I have a little tape tab on it so I can pull it out. So this is another custom cable I made. I have the diodes combining sync, and this kind of just comes up and sits on the motherboard. This one brings in my standby power. If that standby power isn't available for some reason, it will get 5 volts from the color computer. So I have this for floppy drive power and GoTech power. Let's just do that. Okay. So this is just a USB socket for the GoTech drive, and it kind of sits in the case if I do that. So that's fine, I'll just do that for now. And this plugs in right here. Okay, my little amplifier. Let's get this out of the way. This guy sits right here. I had that volume control glued down with hot melt glue. And same with the amplifier itself. So let me get my glue gun warmed up. So, about the gray. This is not the color I planned to paint this computer, to be honest. This is the cap from the can. I was expecting something black, kind of a matte black. I got the matte, but it's a gray. And because of that, that changed something else in the design that we'll talk about when I get back to the lid. We're not doing the top lid yet. Save that surprise for last. So you can see that to make the GoTech work in this configuration, I had to modify a few things. Just I made some right angle connectors basically, but basically to make them fit under the motherboard with sockets plugged in. How's it doing here? It's going to be a few minutes. While we wait for that to warm up, let's talk about the motherboard. So this is a mostly stock CoCo3. Has an 87 gimme. Does have a 2 meg triad board from Cloud9. Has a pepper board, of course. And we have the protector that goes along with the 2 megs. And my RF modulator has been removed and replaced with an HDMI header. Over here we have a feature jumper that goes to the lid. Basically on the bottom side of the board I've got a 5-volt jumper that plugs into that standby power. I've got this 2 plugs for the GoTech. So this guy plugs in right here. And this guy, it is labeled top, plugs in right here. It's just sit flat. This guy out, pull this guy over. We can go ahead and plug that in. Plug this in. So you can see on the DC, this board is a little bit weird. Normally, when you convert to DC, you want to hook the 12 volt to pin 1 and ground to pin 2. For some reason, if I do that on this machine, I don't remember exactly what, something quits working. And I have to apply power to pin 3 instead of pin 1. Anytime you do a DC conversion, capacitor 62 gets removed and jumpered. It doesn't have to be removed, you can just jumper across the bottom. But I don't like doing invisible bodges. The pin header on here has been removed and replaced with this guy, which makes it easy to plug in the internal RGB cable. This is keyed. This audio plugs in here, and this is a ground. I actually tuck that into this RCA jack. It's kind of cheesy, I know. Eventually I'll revisit this and clean up that wiring. This guy just plugs in here. That's mainly for ground and for the 5 volt from the motherboard. There's a little diode right here, you probably can't see it, but that prevents my standby power from feeding back into the motherboard and trying to run the computer. Okay, I think this should be pretty close to ready. Let's see. Pull this out. Okay, here we go. Get in there. Sit flat. There we go. There. So you can see what I've done here. Basically, I have installed the parts that go in the lid. I've got an encoder wheel and an OLED for the GoTech, and I've got an old Black Beauty joystick. So I've got the lid on here. I went ahead and drilled some holes in here so that I can easily remove the badge if I need to. You see, I've got this cable secured and plugged in. This guy is just going to kind of pull out the back for now. Okay, so I don't quite have everything hooked up as far as I don't even have a drive controller right now, but I do have power to the GoTech. I have a USB drive, so we can actually fire this up and see how it works. Let's just start with power first. We have power. There's no card, so it just says flash floppy. That's my firmware. Turn this off. Plug this in. I did have to customize the configuration file for this encoder. You know, different encoders take different settings, so I had to set I think I set this to half on the encoder setting. So here she is, all back together, and yes, this is the original deluxe keyboard that I bought for my CoCo3, I think back in 1985. I wasn't even sure it would work when I snagged it for less than 10 bucks, and beyond ecstatic when it actually did. Honestly, I wasn't exactly crazy about the diamond arrow key arrangement. It made a lot of games really awkward to play after playing on a CoCo3 keyboard layout that required both hands for many years. Some of you may know that I have my own thoughts on this matter. Now, this keyboard has been repaired with one of Rick Euland's CoCo3 boards, and I've actually modified Rick's keyboard with a flat flexible socket and one of these flat flexible ribbon cables that I had made. I like these because there's a little extra length that lets you pull the keyboard forward and far enough to reach the entire motherboard and unscrew the screws if you wanted to. Without unplugging the keyboard. Plus, these dual wipe sockets make this reversible, so this cable will allow the CoCo3 or my Artemis keyboards to work with any CoCo1, 2, or 3 that has the flex cable connector. There is one more little detail that I haven't shown yet on the back of this. I took a little bit of sandpaper and just sanded off the raised letters so that they are basically highlighted now, a lot easier to read. And it looks kind of cool. On this side, we have my USB socket for the GoTech floppy drive. I have a black cartridge door, which I just took out of a CoCo3. I didn't paint this or anything. I just literally, as soon as I got my CoCo3, I swapped out the black door to match my black keyboard. I've got the RGB to HDMI mounted here, and the internal amplifiers, little volume control, which works beautifully. Finally, on top of this unit, you can see I've got a internal Black Beauty joystick. This has got a sawed-off handle. I've got my Gotek encoder and OLED display. Got my turbo LED built into the keyboard back in the 90s. And you can see the open vents here. That's a custom mod from when I had a cooling fan in there. I have actually removed the cooling fan from this because it doesn't get hot anymore. Since I put in the SRAM, I put in a 6309 CMOS microprocessor, and I converted it to DC and took out the transformer. This thing can run all day and barely even raise 5 degrees, if that. Other things that aren't really obvious, there's a few places here where I patched up holes that I had drilled before. I had a vertical encoder over here before that I didn't like, so I took that out, and when I found this, did something better. So there's also a place right here where I patched up. I had a under the board HDMI socket mounted, and I took that out and replaced the RF output with it. So you can just barely see down here. I've got my 34-pin. The floppy drive and the Gotek have a cable that has to come outside and plug into a normal floppy controller. Additionally, down here, there's a cutout for the SD, the micro SD card for the RGB to HDMI. It's not the most convenient setup, but it does work. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of the paint job or the internal modifications. Thanks for watching, and remember to CoCo every day. Cheers! Okay, ow. Okay, audio's looking good, battery good, memory card good. Knees, not so good. And then the other thing that you can't really see in here, and you still can't see it. You may never see it. Okay. Back to the front of the unit. Back to the front. Good. Good grammar. Take a closer look at the front here. You can see I've got, oh, there it goes. Come on. Focus, baby. You can do it. Come on. Trying to pull the thing out always pushes it back in. That's just beautiful design. Gotta love it. Come on. Pull one side out, you push the other side back in. These. Come on. Pull the up and out. Thank you. Where does that have to be? Okay, got it in there. Maybe. Maybe? No? No. Thing is fucking wrong. Get the up and get the folded out. You you design. God, I hate these things.